series documents the creation of a fantasy theme park, where we attempt to combine realism, a massive budget, and imagination into one of the most enchanting virtual resorts ever made. This is Magic Towers Resort. Located on the Palm Island in Dubai, there is a water park called Aquaventure Water Park. And this water park has really impressed me. So, as you might already know, in the last episode I was talking about my trip to the Emirates that I was going to do. Obviously, it's been a few months now, so that trip has been completed now. And it was a really interesting trip, to be honest. I have seen so many cool things. I have ridden really amazing rides and gotten a really good sense of what indoor theme parks can do and what they're like and what, some of their challenges are and how they are designed. It's incredible, to be honest. But yeah, like I said, one of the biggest things that stood out to me is the water park that I visited, or one of the water parks that I visited. Whilst I was there, I visited two water parks, one in Dubai, which is Aquaventure in Dubai, and the other one is, I forgot the name, but it's right across from Warner Brothers World in Abu Dhabi. Both are really great water parks. If you ever get the chance to go to them, definitely make sure that you visit them. Really quite incredible. Lots of fun rides to do. Lots of surprising stuff. It's great. It's great. Being at those water parks, though, made me realize that I was maybe cutting a few corners here and there whilst working on Mystic Lagoon, the water park at Magic Towers Resort. Now, in all fairness, it had been a while since I last visited a water park, so maybe the inspiration wasn't flowing as well as it should have. But now that I have experienced doing water parks again, I was ready to jump into this park again and fix some of the stuff that I've been working on before that I wasn't really happy with. One of these things is the lazy river, actually. The lazy river was done a bit lazily, if you will. I felt like it could be a lot better. Now, one of the ways I wanted to do that already was just by making the edges of it a bit smoother, using some monorail track, as you can see me do right now. That just really helps to make it more, give it a more natural shape to it, more realistic shape to it. And it also helps to establish the idea that this is a lazy river and not just some river running through the park or like a creek or something like that. Back to my story though. At Aquaventure, at the Aquaventure water park in Dubai, they have an amazing lazy river. It has absolutely blown my mind. When I was at the park with my friends, we rode the lazy river first. We just arrived at the park. We jumped into the lazy river and we're like, yeah, let's do one circle, so we have an idea of what there is to find at this park. I kid you not, it took us probably like 45 minutes to an hour to do one full loop of this lazy river. It was absolutely insane. Now, the reason it was so insane though is because it was so much more than just a lazy river. Normally, if you've never been to a water park before with a lazy river, generally speaking, kind of runs through the entire water park in one big loop. And it kind of, you get into a tube and it just takes you through the entire park, one circle, and, you can get off at multiple places wherever you want, really, and jump back in when you want. It's just a very relaxed way of transporting yourself through a water park. At Aquaventure, though, they kind of combine it with some really interesting concepts. One of these concepts that I've seen at other water parks as well, for example, the Volcano Bay water park in Orlando by Universal Studios. They have a slightly wilder version of a lazy river where you have some wave machines, essentially, that kind of push you forward and you kind of go bob up and down a bit more drastically. It's a lot of fun. Obviously, Aqua Venture has that as well somewhere on their lazy river. But what they also do quite well is that you actually get some elevation. Like, they actually have you go up a lift and then basically go down like a river rapids, essentially, sliding down some wilder areas, which is just a lot of fun. And the craziest thing about all of this is that it's basically like a choose your own adventure. Throughout at multiple places throughout the lazy river, you can choose to go either left or right, and depending on which direction you choose, you end up with a completely different experience. So one area might lead to like the wave section, where you have like giant waves throughout the lazy river, whilst the other one might actually go up like a lift hill, essentially, and then has you going down a lot of river rapids, essentially, which is just so much fun. And we totally got lost on the lazy river whilst we were going down it, because if you choose to go left on one part, it might loop you back to another place, and then, you know, from there you can get absolutely lost. We had trouble getting back to the spot where we began, essentially, but we were enjoying it so much that we just spent so long on the lazy river, and we did this multiple times because we're like, oh, there's so much more to explore. At the end of the day, I must admit that we barely had time to do any of the slides. We just spent a bunch of time riding in the lazy river. With that said, though, there are a bunch of really, really cool slides there as well. So I definitely want to go back someday and experience those as well. So now that I had done the lazy river, or at least was working on the lazy river, I felt like the main pool could use some work as well. It was a bit rough around the edges, literally. So I felt like I could smooth that up, just like I was doing for the lazy river, just to make that a little bit nicer. Just some general touch-up around the park, really. Now, later on in the episode, we are going to be doing something quite exciting that I've already kind of mentioned just now from my real-life experiences. We're going to try to incorporate some of those ideas inside of this park, because I figured that would be so cool to get in there. To get back to the trip, though, and I'm sure I can talk about this more once it becomes relevant, but one of the really cool slides that I had never done before is one of these looping slides. Now, you might have seen this before on social media, or maybe you've even written one before. It's basically a slide with a looping, kind of, but not really. It's interesting. Basically, it's a slide with, well, a loop in it that kind of has you go up again and then down again. Obviously, it's not a completely vertical loop. It's kind of like an overbanked turn almost. But it definitely does have you go up, which, generally speaking, a water slide would not be able to do. Especially not a body slide, unless there are some kind of water jets or magnetic plates to push you back up again, which something like a water coaster might do. But this is just a body slide, so you just, you drop in, you go through the loop, hopefully, and then you get back down again. You don't really notice it too much. It's a weird experience, though, because you do feel yourself slowing down whilst you're in the slide and then speeding up again, and that's where you can definitely tell, like, oh, I've reached the top of the loop now, and now you're going down again, hopefully forward, because that's the interesting thing. It's actually possible to get, well, kind of stuck in one of these slides, because if something goes wrong, or you didn't slide quite fast enough, or your weight is slightly off, you might actually slide back down backwards. This is quite a common occurrence, though. This happens a lot, which is why these slides always have like a little door at the bottom as well to get you out again if you ever get stuck. So that's not something you need to be afraid of if you're ever going to be riding one of those. But yeah, this is such a fun experience. Really interesting rides. This is one of the slides that had both the Abu Dhabi water park and the Dubai water park as well. The park in Abu Dhabi had something really interesting as well, and that was actually a roller coaster, an inverted roller coaster. Originally, it was a roller coaster that had you spray water on the guests below. That's a feature that was disabled, or not something that was fitted on that specific installation of the ride. I believe there is a park. I can't remember. I'm not going to continue with that. There's a water park somewhere that I think actually still uses it. But basically, you sit in an inverted roller coaster, and it basically sprays water down while you're riding the roller coaster. They just had the roller coaster bit for that at the Abu Dhabi water park, which was a lot of fun. It's just really crazy to have rides like that in a water park. So now we're kind of getting to the more interesting section of the video. I know I haven't really been talking about Rollercoaster Tycoon that much so far, but yeah, we are actually going to make one of these sections where you can choose your own adventure. You can either go to the left or you can go to the right. Now, the left is just going to continue on as normal. The right, though, is inspired by one of those sections where you actually have a lift hill to go up and then go down using the river rapid to kind of slide down at a slightly faster pace, which is just really, really fun. So yeah, that's one of these things that I experienced in Aquaventure in Dubai, that I just really wanted to get into this water park because I was like, okay, this is so amazing. I absolutely love that. I just have to get that in there. It's interesting though, because like usually you either have a water slide or you have like a river rapids, and they're kind of like two separate things. If you've ever been to something like a Center Parcs in mainland Europe, I'm not sure if they have them in England as well. You might know that they usually have like a river rapid slide where you just kind of it's essentially kind of like a body slide, but also not. There's a lot of rapids in there, and you just kind of go down the rapids, and then you have a slide section or like a rapid section, and then it's just a bit of columns where you can just kind of sit down and relax, and then you continue on as normal. It's a really fun experience. But combining these two ideas into one ride is so cool. So yeah, definitely had to have that. Now in Aquaventure, the lift hill section was actually covered and themed pretty well. So obviously I had to do that as well because, you know, I'm not gonna skip on an opportunity to make something indoors and look nice and themed, obviously. So obviously I had to try that as well. I'm pretty happy with the end result of this lift. I think it really captures what the real life equivalent looks like and feels like, which obviously is kind of the goal with the Magic Towers resort in general. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. Now the rapid section is something that is quite hard to do. Now I ended up using the river rapid pieces for it, just because it allows me to do, well, slightly smoother transitions, essentially. You know, you can kind of go down in the slope a bit. It's a bit more cramped than I might have initially envisioned, but that's also kind of down to some of the limitations I had in Rollercoaster Tycoon 2. I think if I were to revisit this, I could probably... maybe I could do better. I'm not sure. It's a challenging thing to build inside of Rollercoaster Tycoon. Anyways, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. But yeah, maybe there's a bit more I could have done for that. Who knows? Right. So in the meantime, I've been visiting some of the theme parks here in the UK as well. As you might know, I recently moved to the UK. Absolutely love it here. Having a really good time, really enjoying my new job as well, in case you're wondering. So all of that's really quite good. One of the really cool things I found is at Alton Towers, they have a really cool haunted house, I'd say. Now, for those of you who might not know, I'm originally from the Netherlands, which is my nationality, and the Netherlands has quite a lot of pretty good theme parks. Also, a few pretty well-themed theme parks, and on top of that, we have really easy access to countries like Germany. So all in all, like where I was living, I had access to a load of dark rides within like 2 hours driving. It's a bit different now here in the UK. The UK isn't as big on dark rides. Now what they do have is a lot of very original haunted houses, which is kind of how dark rides, well, and it became a thing anyways. So that's going to be a lot of fun to explore. Anyways, the one that they have at Alton Towers is an interactive dark ride. I was just really, really surprised while I was riding it. It's so long, like it just keeps on going. I can't wait to ride it again, just to see if it really is as long as I'm still imagining it to be. But yeah, that was just a lot of fun to try out. Now, generally, I'm not that big of a fan of haunted houses. I think this one was done pretty well. It had some really unique ideas. Obviously, it's not a Fata Morgana or Droomvlucht at Efteling, or even something like Hollywood Tour at Phantasialand, which even that is just so much fun. But, you know, it's a dark ride, and I absolutely loved it. I'm really excited to do a few more in the future as well. Next thing on the list is Legoland, which I'm going to be visiting soon. I'm very excited to try out their flying theater, as well as the Ninjago ride and the submarine dark ride, which is really interesting because it's actually a real submarine, which has you swimming along the fish in a fish tank. I would have had the chance to visit this in Dubai as well. I did actually visit Legoland over there, but sadly the ride was closed whilst I was there, so hopefully I'll be able to visit it in winter, which is going to be quite fun. Now, as you can see, I kind of finished up the rapid section for the Lazy River on the Mystic Lagoon water park. Really happy with how it has turned out in the end. I think it really gets the idea across. And I do have some work to do to actually make it functional. We'll get to that next time, I think. Hopefully next time we'll actually get to some more slides as well. I did end up spending so much time building this lazy river. It's absolutely insane. As you can see by the length of the video, it's quite a normal length for a video. But looking at the amount of stuff that I ended up being able to do in this episode is not as substantial as I would have liked, which really kind of shows why sometimes maybe cut a few corners here and there, because it does take a long time to make things really nice and pretty. And definitely there's still a lot more work to do for this lazy river. So yeah, we'll get to that in the future. For now, just some backstage dressing up, you know, we'll work on that more in the future, but that's about it for this episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, let me know in the comments what you think of things, and what you've maybe visited yourself so far in terms of theme parks. And I hope to see you folks in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys next time.